we go. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all so very much for joining us on this very special Richmond social media, our 1-year celebration with Lauralee and Ashley. Woo! We are super excited to have you all. Where Lauralee will be talking to you all about customer experience and reviews. We have a lot planned, so I'm just going to keep this really brief. A couple of housekeeping things. Please enjoy the snacks we have. Virgin mimosas, some cupcakes and coffee. Bathrooms are down the hall. Please silence your cell phones so as to not interrupt
What do you want me to give away
content.
first? Just draw on whatever you want.
A couple of upcoming events here at the Richmond Innovation Center. We have Lauralee is coming back next month, or in a couple weeks on July 26th, to talk about leading your team to success with the Business Education Lunch, which is hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. So please come and join us for that. That is a lunchtime series at 11:30. And then on July 30th, we have our Richmond Can series, where Brittany Sawyer will be talking to us about tips and tricks for writing a resume and interview skills. And that is an evening series at 6 p.m. So 2 really exciting free programs to join us for. So I just real quick want to thank Lauralee and Ashley for all that they do. There's not really enough words for what they've built here and all of you and all the amazing content.
Oh, thank you.
So we have a small token of our appreciation. Kim at Embellish helped us pick these out. Aww. And just want to thank you guys for this isn't enough, but we want to just thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. We almost gave these away. We were like, oh, great.
No. So thank you all.
You're so awkward group hug. Oh, that is so thoughtful. I got all kinds of gifts this morning.
All right, so without further ado, Lauralee, take it away.
All right. So real quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ashley. So, yes, there is snacks in the back. Like, how often do we have cupcakes for breakfast? Never, but today is a party. So I highly encourage you to go back and partake in the cake and the cupcakes. And when she said virgin, it was like you guys all went like, oh, it's virgin. Like, where's the alcohol? I'm pretty sure that when we started this idea, we began with champagne. And then it was like budget. Oh, now it's just non-alcohol. But we tried for you. We were bringing champagne in the very beginning. So thank you for attending for our 1-year anniversary. We have a lot of really cool stuff lined up, primarily giveaways for all of you. So our token of appreciation to come month after month after month and watch us grow. I want to take 1 second and just say these videos that are playing, it's kind of like a timeline. I remember when Peggy started this, and Jeremy started this, and a lady named Bobby started this. This was probably 2012, 2013. And as we watch that video, and I'm going to turn it off in a second, but it kind of goes over this timeline. So there's an age difference between me and Ashley. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but there is. It's small. Just kidding. It's pretty big. She's sitting there watching. She goes, Flickr? Who uses Flickr? I don't know if she was even out of college when we were using Flickr. Who remembers Flickr in this room? Okay, good. I'm not the only old person in here. Okay, good, because she was very taken back by Flickr. So Ashley gets the cool job today. She's going to be giving stuff away. So we got our very first drawing right out of the gate. So pull out your tickets. Let's see if you win.
So the first one we're going to give away is this beautiful, Jeremy, what is this?
It's a soy candle.
It's a soy candle. I'm not very domesticated, so I don't know how things look like. Okay, so the first number for this item, is it smelling really good? Yeah. 861839. Melinda. Perfect.
Melinda? Nice.
All right, and we'll also give away this Innovation Center mug here. And what else is inside there?
There's a Bluetooth, and then there's a pin from, and then there's also, it can be hot or cold. So like if you're hurting somewhere, you can heat it up or ice it and feel better.
All right, so 861-823.
Margie? Nice. I'm going to win something today.
How about we do one more?
One more. Here we go. One more.
Okay, coming in hot. Let's give away one of these booklets here. Does
Yep.
that sound fair?
That sounds fair to me.
It's a to-do list, the I thing again. Yeah. And then a post-it note? Yeah. Okay, so this one is going to go to 861828. Yay, Mandy, perfect. So we'll do more of these in just a little bit, but I'll pass the mic back to you.
All right, perfect. All right, so can I get 2 volunteers to get us started? 2 volunteers, and it's an easy job. It's an easy job. 2 volunteers. Oh, don't all raise your hand at once. Here we go. Margie, Chris. Yep, Chris, you were the first hand up. Are you sure you want to do it? Let's go. We've got Brian too. Either one. Come on, Margie. Brian, Chris, one of you. Which one? That's you then, Chris. You're coming. All right. I need one of you to stand here. Margie, you can stand right here. Thank you. And Chris, you're going to stand right here. Okay. It is a super simple thing. You're going to get 45 seconds. You're going to, there's a little piece of paper. Don't flip it over yet. You're going to turn over that piece of paper. You're going to follow the instructions exactly the way it reads. You get 45 seconds to complete the tasks. Ready? You got 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Flip over your paper, complete your instructions. Don't be overthinking it, Chris, over there.
First thing
I know, my man of reflection. Don't overthink it. 15 seconds left. 15 seconds. Who's going to beat it? Who's going to get it done? 15 seconds. 15 seconds. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. 4, 3. And stop. And markers down. Chris got it done. High five. All right. So I
thought he was overthinking.
So let's take our instructions. Take your instructions and show the audience, show the group what your instructions look like. Do you notice a difference in those instructions? Come this way. Come this direction. There we go. Notice the difference in the... So I have to ask, how many of you have gone to a restaurant and have no idea whether you're supposed to be seated or seat yourself? How many? How many of you have walked into a store and you can't find the clearance section? I'm a clearance buyer. How many? How many of you have gone to a website and you can't figure out where do I go to call somebody? I just want to call somebody. I don't. How many? Is that frustrating? Is that so frustrating? The same thing with the instructions, right? We had one that was super clear. Chris's experience was so much different, right? It was easy to read. I was able to follow it very quickly, as quick as Chris is, because maybe one of us might have done it in 40 seconds. Chris was thinking it through, but 45 seconds got all the instructions completely finished. And here we have poor Marjorie. Margie's reading these like, oh my gosh. This is what some people's website copy looks like, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go. So today, we're going to talk about the customer experience and how we go from this to this. How do I make it simple? How do I make it crisp, clear? How do I make it a great experience? Does that make sense? All right. So for Chris and Margie, because they were so good, we're going to give them 3 gifts. And then I'm going to turn it over to Ashley, and she's going to talk to you about why you're here today. What do you hope to learn?
All right, guys. So was that a fun exercise? So I would just like to know what inspired you to come today. So this is obviously a big crowd. All of you are from different industries and companies, but you each have a reason for why you came. So somebody feel comfortable to raise your hand and start this conversation around why you came today?
We came for the cake.
The cake. Let's be sure we give a good check mark. Done. Cake, Rachel, done.
There'll be a candle in it. That's the worst cupcake I've ever got. But there it is. That is the big pile of icing and the gooey bottom and a candle.
learn better ways to use social media.
Okay. What else?
It's the place to be.
I like that reputation. I will take that reputation, the place to be.
And when we think about this topic around customer experience and reviews, what questions do you have related to those concepts?
I guess I have a fair amount of customer reviews on website. I guess, is there a way I can lead patients there easier?
How do I get them to, how do I
Yeah,
help
because I
explain
can
that
hand them a
process?
card and tell them to do it, but I don't get everyone that, not everybody does it. That was an easier way to get it done.
Okay. So I'll put how to inform customers about review options, because they have many. They have Google, they have Yelp, they have Facebook. Which one's important to your business? All of those things are important. Okay, what else?
How to handle negative reviews.
How to deal with a negative review? That's a great question. Is that, if you have that fear as a business owner, raise your hand. If I get a negative review, what's it going to do to me? Yeah, we'll talk about that today. Okay, what else? You guys can make me draw another cupcake up here?
How do we help people to share? Like, if you're making a post on Facebook, how do you get them to share?
So that engagement beyond liking and commenting, we want sharing to be that driving motivation. Yep. Okay. And I'm going to take it a step further and say, how do we get people to share their experience? Because that's what we're talking about today. Does that sound fair? Okay. All right. How about one more?
How about if we come away from this really clear about which are the right platforms for this kind of customer experience review?
So talk about the platforms and options that we have for these reviews. Perfect. All right. We're definitely going to hit on these points today. I feel confident on what Lauralee has crafted today, and also Eric from VanVleet, who's joining us to share how they handle customer experience, not only visually, but when you walk into their office. So, Lauralee, I'll pass it back over to you to dive into today's topic.
All right, perfect. Okay, so I have a question. How many of you use Amazon? Is there anybody that does not use Amazon? All right, everybody I think in America is using Amazon at some level. What do you think is the secret sauce? How do you think that Jeff Bezos went from this concept, this idea of just having a bookstore to what it is today? What do you think their secret sauce is?
It's got to be the customer experience.
I would say you are such a logical thinker, Jason. Yes, customer experience, but there's a key word that they use. You're close. Reviews, that's important, and it solves for something very specific. Yes?
They offer something for everybody.
They do, and we're going to talk about perception, and I have a funny story. You're spot on. They do. It's all part of the master plan. In his vision statement, he actually talked about, I want to be the place where you can find anything on earth. And that's the perception he has. He set that in his vision statement and drove toward it. All right, I will tell you their secret sauce, and if there's anything that you write down today, I beg you to write this down. How do I reduce customer friction? This is what drives the customer experience, and this is what drives reviews. So when we talk about what we want our customer, that we want them to drop a review for us, we want them to put something on Facebook, we want them to share their experience. If it is average, probably not going to do it. Where their difference maker comes in is customer friction. So what do you think reducing customer friction means? What's that mean to you? Reduce the obstacles. Can you think of an example? Put it in context of Amazon. What friction would you have had that they solved for?
How many clicks does it take to get to my item?
Right there. How many clicks it takes. Very, very much a huge focus for Amazon. I'm going to reduce the number of clicks it takes for a customer to order something. You got it?
An obstacle?
Yep. Can you think of any?
I can check out.
Check out. Did you know that they patented the one-click cart and checkout? They patented that, so it cannot be recreated. Why? To drive down customer friction. So if I'm in a restaurant, what's my customer friction? If I walk into a restaurant, I gave the example earlier. Where do I sit? As soon as I walk in. So what can we do from a customer experience standpoint? If I'm going to reduce friction, what's the first thing I should do? Have some kind of sign. It's that simple. They took their customer from start to finish and said, what are all the pain points and how do I reduce them? We're going to talk about that today, and we're going to figure out for your business, where are the friction points? And then we're going to say, how does that drive customer loyalty, which ultimately equals a better customer experience, which then they leave reviews. Does that make sense? That's where we're going today. Any questions before we get started? Okay, you guys, we needed alcohol back there. Just so you know, I just want to throw that out there. You guys look like you're not awake yet, but then again, I've been up since very early. Okay, 70% of the buying experience is based on how the customer feels they are being treated. How they feel they're being treated. So I want you to keep that in the back of my mind, or the back of your mind, and say, how do I think my customer feels, whether they're on the website or they're in person at a store location, whether you're a service industry, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're just an online business. I want you to think about in the back, how do I think my customer feels? All right, let's go through the customer journey, and we're going to break each one of these down. And get out your pen and paper, because this is where you're going to want to track, well, do I have something in each one of these buckets? The first one is perception and awareness. So Kim brought it up earlier. She said they have the perception that they have everything at their store. So I'm driving down the road the other day, 4 days ago, and my mom, who does not talk business with me ever, and so she said, hey, do you have something coming up on Friday? And I said, yeah. And she said, what are you talking about? So I'm going to talk about Amazon and how awesome they are at the customer experience. She's like, oh. She said, you know, I just went to Amazon the other day. And I said, oh, great, this is going to be a good story. I'm going to lead in with this. Hopefully it's going to be a good conversation. I said, Mom, what'd you go in there for? I was looking for something really unique. I won't even tell you what it is because it's kind of a weird deal. Had to do with surgery and stuff. It was something odd that I would never have even known to look for. And she said, I went to look for this thing. And I was like, okay. I said, why did you go? And her response was exactly Kim's. She said, I go to Amazon because they have everything under the sun. There's nothing Amazon does not have. And I said, Mom, you should be a plant at my thing on Friday because we're going to be talking about perception. So what is your perception? What do you think your perception is for your customers? What do you want that perception to be? Give me an example of what do you want people to believe about your business or believe about you? I know a lot of you, so I can randomly pick people too.
Somebody in the back over here.
Yes. They can trust us. So how do you build that trust? When we think about awareness, how do we know that we can trust you? What do you do to build that trust?
You trust them.
You trust them? What is your business? What do you do?
Follow through with what you've promised.
That is a great way to gain trust. If I say I'm going to do this, and I deliver on it. And once that starts to get out, you're feeding right into the awareness piece. I want to build trust, so if I commit to you, I'm going to follow through. All right, another example? Yes?
Quality service and products.
Quality service. So how do you articulate that for your customer? How do they know that when I walk in, I'm going to get quality?
You know your service and what you're representing, and present that to them to make them feel comfortable.
You know the product really well. You could tell them, where is it sourced? What did I, how did I create, or whatever it is. Where did I get it? How did I get it? All of that. All right? Any other examples?
That they're valued.
That they're valued. And how do we build that into the perception? How do we know that they're valued? How do you articulate that?
Well, at the Tin Lizzie, we know their names. They come in, on a regular basis, we know their names. A lot of times Marlene is getting their drink ready or starting their sandwich when she sees them walking in the door, because they order the same thing or,
That's a fact, because that happened to me yesterday. That is an absolute fact. Before I paid, it was at the end of the counter for me. All right? Next stage is consideration and discovery. So this is, think about this is where your online reviews comes into play. So customers going to go out and start doing the research on you. The first thing they're going to do is say, what is it on their Facebook? I'm going to go out and look at their Facebook. Or I'm going to go out and look at their website. Or I'm going to just Google their name and see what comes back in the reviews. So this is the research aspect of it. So when you're thinking about from your business, you should be looking, okay, if a customer discovers me, if I'm in the insurance business, when I go out there, is there reviews out there that talks about how my last customer, what their experience was with me? I go out, Google it, I find it in the discovery phase. I haven't made my decision yet, but I'm taking it into account. I'm considering it. What other ways can they discover you? And think about whether they're going to use your business. Besides the reviews, what else?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. That plays in both, right? So awareness, word of mouth, and then if my friend refers me and says, you know what, I think that you should use Jason, he's great. Good? What else? Okay? Yes?
They've read your book.
That is a great way when you talk about building trust. If you put in, whether it's an ebook or I write something up about my particular product, I'm going to go out, I'm going to read about it and say, I'm starting to build that relationship with you. I'm starting to decide if I'm going to use you. The third piece is I actually come in and purchase. This is where we all traditionally believe that the customer experience begins. We believe in our mind that the customer experience begins when I walk into the store, I get onto the website, I actually go and make my purchase, I put the thing in the cart. The customer experience starts stages before that. So when we think about end to end, when we look at what Jeff Bezos did and Amazon, he's thinking way back here. I want to be the biggest place you could find anything here. You're going to read the reviews, and I'm going to break down the friction here and say, if you're afraid, what were we afraid to do in 1999, 2001, 2002? How many of us ordered online? Like, very few, right? What was the friction at that time? I'm scared. I have no idea what this is going to be like. Reviews played a huge part in that, huge part. I buy it. I build the relationship, the service. So how many of you have recently made a return to Best Buy outside of the 14 days? Has anybody, you all know the service policy way better than I have, because I do not know that it was only 14 days. So me and my daughter take in earbuds 3 weeks ago, walk in the store, go to Best Buy. She had them for 30 days, and what was Best Buy's response? Outside of our policy? Out of luck, and literally, I think they said something very similar to that. Sorry, you're outside our 14 days. You need to take it up with Apple.
Or you can become a VIP and extend that.
Oh, yes, for the $30 or almost the cost of the earbuds. That reinforced in my head, you don't care about the service piece. You don't care. You don't, otherwise you'd look at, how can I make this right for her? No, we were 15 days out, we were done. The last piece is how do we build loyalty and advocacy? So this is where we've got the frequent flyer miles or the frequent program, or I'm following up with the coupon. This is where I start to have advocates out there referring to me, telling my customer experience. All right, so we talked about a little bit of the pain points in there. So if we broke this down, I'm going to ask you to start to write, because we're going to share a little bit later today. What are some of your customer pain points? When you think about your industry, I want you to write down, what are their customer pain points?
Question.
Yes.
With clients I talk to, sometimes they cannot get themselves in the headspace of their customer because they play their movie on what they think is happening versus what is actually really happening with the customer perspective. How do you test for self-deception?
I think that one of the things that I would highly recommend, I love that you brought this up, is talk to a customer and get their feedback. That is the person that's actually walking in the door. Talk to your customer. It's different. If you come in the back door of your building every day and you never come in what the customer actually walks through the front door, the experience is very, very different. I did, several years ago, I worked with a restaurant owner. He never walked in his front door. Never. He looked everything from the back end of the restaurant. Walking in that front entrance, when we took a walk and said, this is what your customer sees. Is this what you want them to see? It was a very different lens. So I say, challenge yourself. Am I actually representing the customer? And talk to one of your customers. Have them walk you through their experience. Does that answer your question, Scott?
Yep, I just think that the how to do it is easier than the actual do it. If you've been in that business, even if you come in the front door, you've seen the same sign, you've seen the same pile of laundry at your house for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you don't do anything. And I think that's really clients that I work with, the owner has such ownership in the way that it's done that they really can't get out of that mindset of, well, yes, I greet them. Are you friendly? No, but I greet them. Is the sign, I have a sign. Is it clear? No, but there's a sign. How do you really break through that and change get yourself in a situation where you really understand your customer? That's
I think feedback, I think surveys, and I think talking to them about their pain points. I really believe that that's where it's at. Talk to them about their pain points. Yes, Chris.
One of the other things that on your flow chart that we see at Belden a lot is we're starting to actually have to build a relationship even before buying, because the consumers now are more educated than ever, and it's easier to be able to research our competitors, and we're a higher price product. So after we do discovery, which is a lot of our lead generation, we will spend months up to a year sometimes just building relationships with people that have never bought a single product from us.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
it's samples, it's sending collateral, whatever it takes. And so we have to make that investment before we even get one single purchase. And then every purchase for us, we have to do this thing every time.
Yep.
Because if our lead times go long or we don't get quotes back in time, every order for us literally has to go through this entire process.
Every customer experience does go through this process. Some are very short, some are very long. The buying process can be, but the stages do not change. Whether you are an individual hairdresser owner, you own a store, you're business to business, you're an online store, doesn't matter. We as consumers all go through this. And I guarantee you, when you break down your business, you will find pain points along the way. And that's where your difference maker is. So if I am a hotel or like a little Airbnb, how can I make the experience better? How can I make it a little bit easier? What can I do at the point of check-in? Can I leave them the key there so they don't even have to meet with me? But there's not a business out there that you can't think of pain points. And the more you reduce that, I guarantee you it is a difference maker. I guarantee it. Think of Netflix. Nobody wanted to go buy their DVDs anymore. I'm just going to ship them to you. That right there, number one, right out of the gate. What's the customer friction? They don't want to go get DVDs. What can we do to solve that? Well, we're just going to mail them to them. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of examples the same way. Think about your customer from their point of view and what their pain points are. All right. Let's talk about collecting reviews, because that is on your list of what we can do. So a couple things. Make it easy to get the review. So make it easy. Make it very simple. One of the things you can do, give me an example. If you own a store, what's one thing that you can do? Get that review right at the point. It's a simple review. They don't even have to write anything. What is it? Ask them. You can ask them to check in. Will you check in? You think, well, that's not writing a review. That's writing a review. The fact that I took the time to say I am in this location says I like it enough to tell people that I'm here. So that's the easiest thing you can do. Ask them to do a Facebook check-in when they come in. Immediately it's going to pop up and say, this is where Lauralee is. Yes?
Shares are the same way for us. If you take the time to actually share it,
yep,
it shows that you're an advocate for whatever you're sharing.
Yep, exactly. And you can ask them, customers in general will do the things that you ask them to do. They really will. If you ask me to write a review, I will do that. If I had a great experience, you make it easy for me, I will do it. You make it hard, like when they give me the receipt and they circle the thing and it's like, hey, can you go on and do this and tell them I'm really good? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Make it easy. If you followed up and send me an email, I will. But to ask me to go and do it, not going to happen with that little piece of paper they give me. Follow up an email with a direct link. Ask them in the moment, so you're having a great experience. Give testimonials by invite. This is huge. Do it on video. Make it simple. Will you give me a quick testimonial? Say that you had a great experience, if in fact they had a great experience. Get the testimonial right then in the moment. Where are some of the reviews? So I break it up like this. Facebook, if I write a customer complaint in Facebook, I expect a response. 88% of people will not shop at somewhere where they see that their complaints were not answered. If I put a complaint on Facebook, I expect a response. So remember that. They put a complaint on there, they expect a response. Twitter, same thing. If I put it on Google Reviews or I put it on Yelp, I don't expect a response. I'm going to just tell my side of the story. I'm going to put it out there, but I don't expect a response. Make sure that you're thinking about where did they actually write it. Respond to as many as you can, but focus on your Facebook one because they're expecting it. Twitter, they're expecting a response. putting your good reviews out on your website. You'll see that Eric VanVleet does a great job with that. They've actually got it scrolling across the bottom. And then you have TripAdvisor. How many of you leverage TripAdvisor? Oh, that's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity for people that are coming into the community. Don't just think. So we have, how many people do you think are coming to the fly-in this weekend? A lot, 3,000 people. They've never been here before. I'm going to check TripAdvisor. I don't know to go to Facebook because I don't even know you exist. Because 3 months ago I was in California. I'm going to go to TripAdvisor. So think about that. Don't think about TripAdvisor as, oh, it's only when I go on vacation, but think about locally, how can we build up a better TripAdvisor? And Angie's List, depending on your business. All right, what do we do when things go wrong? I'm going to go through these relatively quickly. Let's have a good conversation about it, though. What happens when they go wrong? How many of you had a negative feedback before, and you're like, I don't even know how to respond to this? Yes. Can you quickly tell me what it is?
Somebody came into the Welcome Center and they requested information about a certain state park, and the volunteers were like, sorry, we don't have information about that. So they looked to TripAdvisor and they explained like what happened. So I responded and said, you know, I'm really sorry that you had that experience. We hope that you'll give us another try. We are going to make sure that we review like research protocols with our volunteers, and we will be sure to have that information on hand next time we visit.
Awesome. Give her a round. Do I have an extra thing? I want to give her something. You just completed number 1 right there. I gave them an alternative. I addressed it, and I offered a solution. We're going to talk to our volunteers and make sure that doesn't happen again. All right, the second one is, I didn't even have to talk about the first one. Reinforce the positive experience. I love this one. This was such a good example. It's an old one, but here they're like, holy cow, your mani-pedi was so expensive. They got a gift card for it, just FYI. She's complaining because she got a gift card and got it for free. Anyways, I would have never have paid this much money. That's ridiculous, basically. I got this gift card, but you know what? You guys were really friendly and it was very efficient. She goes in to say all these positive things about it. And in this one, they reinforce and remind them, we're so glad you enjoyed the cupcakes and liked our jewelry. Yes, our prices are a little bit higher than usual for a nail salon. And then they explain why it is more expensive. We do things that other people don't do. This was a great example of reinforcing the positive customer experience. So even though they complained, they admitted, yeah, I kind of like some of that stuff. And in the back, they're like, well, we're really glad that you enjoyed this or that. They didn't address the negative, and they're not going to lower their prices. This is a great way to respond. The other one is respond quickly. So in this moment, this one here was a good one. They said, hey, I've been waiting for like 2 hours on my food. I'm not happy and I'm very hungry. They immediately respond. This Twitter is the response, the one you've got to respond quickly. It doesn't, if you let it go, it doesn't mean anything later on. So again, when we think about where do customers expect to get a response, they expect one from Facebook, they expect it from Twitter, and Twitter, they expect it very, very quickly. Offer a sincere apology. I was kind of debating whether I wanted to put this one on here, and I almost clipped out the top of it. But at the end of the day, KitchenAid did something. They dabbled into politics, not a cool idea to do. But they quickly, they didn't delete it because that is bad. A lot of times they just delete it. They didn't. They left it on there. But then they come back and said, oh no, they removed it. I'm sorry, they did remove it. They issued the apology and said, hey, we're really sorry, we screwed up. So I'm big for apologies. Make it sincere, make it real, but apologize. If you messed up, own that. And the last one is, this is Ashley's personal favorite, so I will let you share. Won't you tell them about this one? I know it's your personal favorite.
So there's this company, or this restaurant in Indianapolis called The Sinking Ship, and they went to Yelp and looked at their negative reviews and then made napkin posters out of their negative reviews. And so I don't know if you can read in the back, it says, elitist hipsters with big beards serving and or drinking craft beer. I did not blend in. And so I thought it was such a fun way. If your brand personality has that, you know, that charismatic personality, take a spin at it. Make it fun. Because I saw that and I was like, I want to go there. I want to be with these people. Like, this is really funny. Yeah.
Their food is amazing.
They do have really good food. Pulled pork is really good. You're a pulled pork person. But anyway, I
All right, I want to turn over yes, go ahead. Eric, you can come on up.
On your 2 slides ago, when you were talking about places to be, don't forget Waze. It's a wayfinder, a GPS.
Yes.
And you can put, it's not very expensive, but you can have an ad pop up as they're getting close to your restaurant.
Love that.
And it's really not overly expensive, so check into that.
I love that. We haven't even really talked about geofencing and advertising yet, and what she's explaining there is exactly that concept, so I love that you brought that up.
It's not really expensive.
Can I ask one question?
Sure. Eric, you can come on up.
If you go back to the sinking ship, the previous slide,
Yes.
their hashtag,
Yes.
Yeah.
when do you draw the line of whether you're being offensive or,
You gotta know your customer.
you know?
Their customer doesn't think that's offensive.
No, well, that's,
You know what I mean?
I like
Honestly.
it. I thought it was funny, but.
I know, right? Well, with your podcast too, you
Yeah,
probably
well,
have the same situation where, you know what I mean?
I've had to delete stuff.
Yeah. So you really do have to know your customer. I think that's what it comes down to. That voice of the customer. Would they say this? Would they be okay with it? Tim Lizzie might not do that, right?
I don't think we can.
So she's probably not gonna do it, but that's fine because her brand personality doesn't represent that tone and voice. So that's what I would say from a branding perspective.
Can we give one giveaway before Eric starts?
Yeah, of course.
Or two?
Can I say something about
Yeah,
that?
no, go ahead.
A perfect example is the first year I went into business, I had a sales rep come in and try and sell me blue Q socks, which I refused to do because they were pretty offensive. The next year I put them in November and I sold 364 pairs of socks, and the most offensive ones were the ones I sold. So.
Well, you gotta know your
I was saying, I bought several.
All right, so we're gonna give away.
Wait, can I give Kim a round of applause for recognizing that that's okay? My customers, they were okay. Give her a round there we go. That's awesome.
Thank
You made a
But
change.
With that said, I also do not post the really offensive ones on Facebook.
Yeah.
I will do something a little edgy, but not.
But you sell them.
So I have a bottle of Pain Be Gone by Route 40 again, and it's going to go to, and if you have any questions about this, Jeremy, will you raise your hand? That's Jeremy over there. He donated all of this stuff, so thank you, Jeremy. If you have any questions, see him. This one is going to go to 861-834. 861-834.
There. Hey, Brian, I want to state, I used that yesterday. I'm telling you the truth. My back hurt yesterday. My mom put it on me 3 times.
Awesome.
So you know, it's awesome. I just used it yesterday.
Is it on?
Can you say something?
Testing.
All right, I have heard this guy can speak. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to thank Eric from coming over and talking about their experience. We invited them because they do such a great job with experience. And I'm going to turn it over to Eric.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'll work here.
Can you hear me okay out there? Am I on the speaker? Thank you.
Is the mic on?
I want you to look at this picture because it's a side of our building with the flowers growing. It's very bucolic and serene. And if you were in my office right now, the sun would be streaming through the skylight. It's quite nice. It's really a nice environment. And to make this more relatable, I just wanted to share with you, and I want to stipulate for the record, because some of you are running businesses and started businesses. In my first year, I made less than $12,000. I almost went bankrupt. I almost sold the business 5 years later. I had an employee steal money. Several years ago, I had a breach of non-sensitive client information that made the papers. I've had ants, sewer gas, water leaks, furnace blowouts, and squirrels in my walls, some of whom died later, and we couldn't figure out where the smell was coming from. In the last 6 months, I've had to fire 2 employees. So I wanted to be relatable to you because quite often when I go to these seminars, I see these folks, it's all roses and rainbows, and I'm like, what's the deal? Well, I can tell you, when I started, I was 6'2" and had a full head of hair. So you talk about friction. Friction has worn me down through 37 years to where I am now.
I think Eric deserves an applause for surviving all of that. My goodness.
So I want to say it isn't easy. It's a battle every day, and I get up out of bed in the morning and I say, by God, those SOBs aren't going to beat me today. And I'm still saying that. So getting into marketing, in the old days, and I represent the old days, our marketing was quite simple. We dealt with yellow pages, and I don't know if you've been around that long, but the whole thing was yellow pages. And the yellow page salesman would come in, and we would jockey to be the #1 in yellow page. That was a really big deal. And if you put bold print in, if you put pictures in, if you made it bigger, you would get one, and the salesman would be in your office, and you go, well, am I going to be #1? He would never quite tell you, but he would lead you on so that you would add more and more. Quite often it was your big expense. And then if you had a little money left over after that, which you didn't, you did print ads in the local paper. That was the extent of marketing back in the day. And I would say that was probably the 80s and early 90s. But then it all changed. You talked about a disruptor with Jeff Bezos. Well, we had Warren Buffett, the 3rd richest man in America. And he disrupted the sleepy industry of insurance, which was a sleepy little industry, large industry. And by virtue of spending almost $1 billion a year in marketing, he disrupted our industry. So now, sitting in the cornfields of the Midwest, little VanVleet Insurance is now competing with agents and companies from coast to coast, because you can call the 1-800 number in Geico or somebody like that and get a quote. Well, I was just competing with the local people. Now I'm competing coast to coast. That's a little bit overwhelming. So we had to change the game because our industry quickly became one of the most competitive industries on the face of this earth. And just to make that point, and I'll give you some jingles, Nationwide is on your side, like a good neighbor, the good hands people. How many see Flo on TV all the time? The Hartford has the deer, and then that miserable low-life lizard that Geico keeps bringing up. So we've had to deal with all that, and obviously you got to change the way you see your industry and your world. And this is when my son, Brad, and daughter-in-law, Kelly, came in. Brad went to a seminar much like this and came back with an idea, and he said, Dad, we got to quit chasing new business. My whole life is new business, new business. Let's get these people and get them in here and write their insurance. He said, let's just focus on our current customers. And that sounds simple, but it was seismic in terms of the ramifications it had for our business. And at the same time, we made Kelly a marketing director. So we made a tip of the hat, a recognition how important marketing is to your business. And it's actually a lot of fun. So.
Am I on this one? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, this one? Okay.
Let's see, on research and education. So, yes, this one. So just as a, well, back to the car.
We have timed this perfectly. Am I on the right one?
No, back to the car.
Sorry. Okay, thank you. We worked really hard on this little show that we just did there.
So just how we worked this out, we had this car, and we talked about wrapping it. And the kids came up to me and they said, well, that's going to be about $3,000. And I said, geez, that's a lot of money. $3,000 to wrap the car, does that make sense? Well, then Kelly presented to me, do you know what we pay for a billboard every month? $500. And she said, do you realize that's a permanent billboard in front of your business? Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. She didn't have to say any more. We wrapped the car. Then my son said, but Dad, if we do it, we got to do it in all the colors to coordinate and interweave it with all our marketing pieces, from the website to print to the building to the flowers around the building. So we did that. So if you notice, green is our theme. And my point for mentioning that is that we get together and we riff on how we can do the marketing. And that's what I enjoy about it, because it's creative and fun. It's a lot more fun than dealing with a dead squirrel in the wall. So we really enjoy the marketing. Then we incorporate family in it. We have, that's one of my grandkids. They work at our car washes, which we'll talk about in a minute, and our parties. Plus, I love the added benefit of teaching them a work ethic and understanding business. We started an agency in Kentucky 3 years ago, and that was an epiphany for me, because when we started it, all of a sudden I could transport a complete marketing program that we had consciously put together, and I didn't know it until we started the agency. But we go down there and all the pieces fit together. We knew exactly what to do, and that was a real light bulb moment for me, because I'd never seen our marketing that way before. We literally had a package with a bow around it that we could take down there and start to recreate the same things we did. So we're 3 years in, it's going well, but it certainly has challenges. We found out starting an agency in Kentucky, we might as well have started one in France. I mean, the culture differences are beyond the imagination. We've had to learn a lot. If we survive that, I'll be 5 feet tall by the end. So the next slide.
There we go. I like
There.
that. The next slide. There we go. That's a
Now
good
we're in the building.
indicator.
We got a beautiful building, about a bank. We debanked it. We put flowers in. We did, again, some conscious things. Like when you walk in, we put the customers in the center of the building. They weren't always, but if you go in our building, the customers are right in the center. And what I mean by that is the reception area, the coffee table is in the center because they are the centerpiece of our business. So if they come in, one of them has to go pay a bill, ask a question. Their guest sees the couches. They can sit right there. Everybody in the agency comes out. How are you doing? You having a good day? We ask if they want coffee, tea, or water. And so we tried to make that a very appealing environment, but always customer-centric. Brad had an interesting experience when he got his first mortgage. He went to the mortgagee and he sat in the bank and they had this desk between them. And he did his secret machinations behind that desk. And it bothered Brad. He said, I don't know, what's that guy doing back there? You know, he said, here's your rate. Well, I want to see how you came up with that. And it stuck with him. So in our office, we have screens that fold out from the wall right in front of the customer. So we have the desk, but we have a screen in front of the desk. So the customer can see everything we're doing on the computer. So he can add endorsements, changes, larger deductibles, and you can see right there. So there's no hidden magic going on, so that we don't like that barrier. We want that complete trust and faith in terms of what we're doing. We also do most of our selling in the conference room. We have a large screen. So now, again, instead of sitting across from each other with a desk and a barrier, we're sitting next to each other, sitting back in our chairs and looking at a large screen, and again, making all the changes. I'll often look in that office. We have a window into that conference area, and I can see Brad selling in there, and the people are leaning back in their chairs with a glass of water. And what we love is they're having an entirely different experience than any other agency in this town, and that's what we want. You know, and if we can go to the next screen.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah. We're competing with Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's worth about $65 billion. I just explained to you I didn't make over $12,000 in my first year. So I'm a little bit at a disadvantage with Warren. So we figured out we got to do something he can't do. So by virtue of that, and I'll start at the lower left, we have customer parties. We invite customers in. We feed them. We have music. We have giveaways. This was at Cope. We had about 250 people. We had music provided. We provided a meal, giveaways. My daughter-in-law even had an area for the kids to play, interactive, all set up. A lot of work and expense. And I don't mind telling you, that was probably $6,000 to do that. But we invested back into our customers. Again, following that theme that Brad taught us, let's focus on the customers. And to that same end, up in the upper right, we do a Bloom and Glow in the summer. We just had it. We had 300 people. Again, fed them, prizes, music, and then they went across the street to the Bloom and Glow. So, and that was also tied in with the chamber. So really neat events, very successful but expensive. But we're investing in our clients, and so that leads us to the referrals. Because we've changed customers to advocates, to ambassadors for our agency, to feel something special, they're a member of a club or a family, then they present us with referrals, and then we thank them with a Subway card. And that takes a lot of work because you got to track it. And then in our staff meetings, we list every referral so we can all thank the people if we see them. We put those in red that refer more than one. Then we have a VIP referral party. So we thank all the people that have given us multiple referrals. And interestingly, we have 30 to 40 referrals, which is very unusual in our industry, and probably 80% of those convert into clients. So we've really created a unique model, and it's been fun to witness it because the people, by virtue of what we're doing, are coming through the door or through the internet, and as a result of that, we're converting them to clients. In the old days, we used to go out and try and tackle them on the street or find them in their homes, but we're literally attracting them, bringing them in. So our customers are walking through the door, coming through the internet, coming in on the phone, and that makes a very unique business model. And in closing, just to share with you, since we've done that, we've really accelerated our growth curve. we're now able to invest a lot more in our customers, or in our employees. We can leverage about 37 years of momentum to spend on our customers. And I recognize you're sitting there going, well, geez, I can't spend $6,000 on a customer party. Well, I couldn't in the beginning. I used to have them at my house. I used to put little candles and little bag, what do you call those things? The little bag candles? I don't know.
I'm not
So, and I'd have like this little runway, and we'd have a couple hundred people come to our house. Well, we got a candle. We can use that one.
I thought it was like a jar, like a cookie jar.
So anyway, I wanted to be relatable because I did those things in the beginning till 37 years later. We're an overnight success 37 years later. I do make more than $12,000 a year, which I'm really pleased about. And the last thing, I've always felt business is the last great American adventure. And I encourage and applaud those of you who are in the adventure and the journey. And to help you, we've provided you with insulated bags so you can put some food in and survive your journey. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. You did so great.
And then we'll do our breakdown.
Yes, and actually, this will be an ice cream gift certificate to Lauralee's Ice Cream. So I have 861848. 861848. Here we go, in the back. I'll do another one here. I got three gift cards here for Lauralee's. I'll just get those. Thank you again. All right, draw 2 in here. I have 861818. 861818. You? Oh, you weren't there. Okay, we'll put you back in for something else. 861842. 861842. In the back in the green. Okay, I'll get you in a second. And then I have 861838. 861838. Julie, here you go.